Inside Pages, and we have the Marhguy family in studio with us. Tyrone Marhguy, father of Tyrone Marhguy, who has just been admitted finally to Achimota School. Good morning to you. And I'll start with Tyrone. How are you? How do you feel?
I'm feeling great and excited.
Great. And Daddy, how about you?
I'm cool. I'm good.
Finally, he gets his admission.
Yes.
Yes. It's been a long fight.
Absolutely.
But here we are. Well, 2 months or so, but here we are. Did you expect this?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, when everything started in the court, we were following, as Mana just said. And when I just looked at the argument, I knew it should go our way, because in the Constitution, you cannot discriminate somebody against, with his religion. So we knew it has to be, it has to come our way,
I was just speaking with the Nkrabias as well, talking about being a Rasta family in Ghana. Share your experience for you as well. I'm sure there will be the ups and the downs, sometimes more downs than ups, but what's the experience like?
Well, I think people don't have much education on Rastafari, because when you even see some people who are really, like I would say, well educated, who are naturally supposed to know what it takes or what it means to be a Rasta man, we still stand at some corner and just be criticizing and saying things that are unpleasant, So it's really been very hard that the people don't understand Rasta yet. Just a few really understand.
Do you think we'll get there?
Yeah, but how long it's going to take will be the problem, because some, especially market women and some people, I don't know if I should call them the small people, or maybe the clueless, they just discriminate and think, oh, he's a Rasta man, just forget him. And sometimes somebody will even look at you. I remember one time I was buying a credit, when I first came from Germany. I wanted to buy a phone, this unit. And then when the woman called the price, I thought, is that what you mean? How much is this? Because for me, that time we're using this 2000 and things,
The old currency.
The old currency. And somebody on the side, one other woman said to the vendor, oh, forget this Jamaican people, they are mad. And then I said to her, but why are you saying that in tree, They said, oh, me brah, sorry, things like that, Or you go on a trotro and there is a space beside you, but nobody wants to sit beside you,
Yeah. I shared that story one time here, where I heard, wasn't my sister who told me that a lady was in a trotro, and when she got in, she saw 2 Rasta men. She said, no, she's getting out.
Yeah.
It's the discrimination is unfortunate, and hopefully this case will be a major stepping stone.
Yes.
But let me go back to Tyrone. Tyrone, you've made history. How old are you? You've made history. How do you feel?
I feel excited and satisfied after the long run, because considering the nature of the case, I wouldn't know how to understand it if it was really true that I can't be educated solely because I have dreadlocks. So I feel really excited.
And how, you've been back in school, yesterday?
Yes,
yesterday
please.
You returned to school. How was school like?
Okay, when I first entered class, there was an exams ongoing. So I joined them and wrote it. And then I think after an hour, there was another exam paper, end of term, and thereafter it was closed.
What papers were they?
Okay, elective ICT and social studies.
Were they difficult?
Okay, not to me, I would say so.
Not for you, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, but having waited all this while to come and write exam, didn't that bother you a bit?
Well, it did, but I felt it shouldn't be that difficult, because it's still SHS and yet still they are my colleagues, even though it's my first time. So I just had to calm down and try to understand everything correctly.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about living in Ghana as a young man or a student, a teenager wearing dreadlocks. At what point did mommy and daddy speak to you? That's one. And at what point did you start noticing that people were looking at you differently?
Okay, earlier I could understand that having dreadlocks would make you look different from everyone else because not everyone has it. And I could also understand that the moment you are dreadlocks, you should be ready for anything. Because if I'm listening to old stories from experienced people, they are talking of potential discrimination and all other forms of unpleasant experiences. So those were some of the things I knew growing up with dreadlocks I would feel. But then looking with my dad and everything, I mean, it's my dad, so I thought like maybe just being a Rasta after all, I should be able to cope on well since he is also coping on well.
How much of an influence has your dad and your mom, have they been in, helping you keep your psyche with your identity and the society you exist in?
Okay, with my parents, I would say entirely. Because right from the start, I know if I were alone or I was always on my own, I wouldn't have made it through. Because considering the harsh comments from the earlier times and then the thought of having to stay home in your first year, I believe it would have crushed me in some form. But my parents constantly advising and talking about that it's going to be all well, very well, and with other people also saying it's going to be very well. I think that one kept me true.
Tell me about the worst encounter you've had because of your hair identity.
Okay.
Would it be this one?
I think so. Yeah, I think so because I wasn't expecting anything like this back before the whole Achimota case. I mean, back at where I was at Omega, I was entirely one of them. Only I had dreadlocks, but no one really distinguished me that this guy is dreadlocks, so he's totally different from us. I was a part of them in every single activity. So I would say the Achimota case may be one of the worst things that happened to me. Yeah.
It's unfortunately, I wouldn't call it unfortunately, but for good reason, Oheneba and Krabia couldn't join us. But I've watched the both of you. I've followed the both of you. You made a passionate appeal at some points during all of this. I think he also did. And the reaction from many people is how brilliant the both of you are, how eloquent the both of you, and the questions I'm asking you and the way you are responding are evidence to that. At 17 years, this is what you're doing. You're out there in the world and people are getting to know and feel your brilliance. What kind of Tyrone are we going to see in the next 5-10 years? I'm excited to know who you will become and what you will do.
Okay, in the next 5-10 years, I'll still live up to my plans as an individual, to live a life and to create this sense of personality that everyone can benefit from. Because considering everything, if I decide to do something that's going to help me alone, it's somewhat going to be of selfish interest. Because there are problems, and there will always be problems in this nation and in the whole world as a whole. So as a person, I think in the next 5-10 years, I will definitely try my possible best to live a life that everyone can benefit from, including the nation and the whole world as a whole.
I'm watching you right now and I'm feeling very sentimental. I don't know why though, because I don't know, but I'm feeling very emotional about this moment right now. I feel very happy for the both of you and for the both families. Anyway, viewers, forgive me. I'm having a moment here myself, watching him. He's young and he's I don't know. Well, congratulations to you and Oheneba as well, and to both families.
Thank you.
I want to now go to the case in court. I'll come to you, Daddy Marhguy, the case in court. What was different about your case was one of the reliefs. You were seeking for compensation for the time that would have gone to waste, or the time that went to waste, and also maybe certain injuries that would have come your way, emotional, psychological, etc. The court didn't grant that. Do Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I heard that they were also going to sue for compensation, I told my lawyer, we don't want that, because it was going to look like, or it will be like we're also trying to make money out of this, making a trade out of it. So I told him, no, I don't want it, And everybody didn't want it. Tyrone, his mother, everybody went like, but why compensation? But then he said, it's part of the whole judiciary system. Because we've been hurt, we lost things, roaming about with taxis, going up and down, seeking advice. So it's normal. Then I also spoke to other people and they said, oh, it's normal. Even some people already were telling me, hey, you will be compensated and stuff, Yeah.
Okay, so, Ras Aswad, I'll come to you. You didn't have that as part of your reliefs. What's the decision? Why?
I was more concerned about the rights and the overall political issue, the implication of this advocacy.
Okay.
As a political advocate, my focus was more on that. But I still think that there should have been some compensation because we have spent a lot of funds. It's enormous in terms of what we have done. You look at all the other cases in the US where those children, they are compensated properly for the damages and so on, and help them to even further their education. So even from an educational standpoint, I think some expenses should have come out for a scholarship or something out of this so that we do not suffer the loss that we are suffering right now as a result of engaging in this battle, which we didn't cause on ourselves, right? It was forced on us. So it is in the right spirit, I think, for some level of compensation, for at least educational compensation for the next couple of years so that we can overcome some of those expenses ahead, and plus based on what we have put out. So it's in the right spirit to do that.
Benjamin, you're the lawyer. Given that, they had expended some monies, the boys had been out of school for some time, there was the whole psycho-emotional effect and all of that, and the judge rules and doesn't grant that. Is that fair?
Yes. Let me say that there are two aspects to what you put together as compensation. We have cost of the litigation itself that can be awarded in favor of the winning party. Okay, so cost of legal fees and other incidental costs that will be handled on that aspect. But if you're speaking strictly about compensation, then you mean, let's say, the psychological injury suffered, and the kind of where I agree with Daddy is maybe the extra tuition that you have to incur by, training your child to fit or to come at par with their colleagues. But I think that it's discretionary, so it's for the court to weigh. If you look at the time that was spent in court, it wasn't long. It was, I think, one of the fastest trial. And then also you want to see the overriding interest, the joy of having the children getting into the school. I think the judge weighed that one beyond any other factor. But of course, it's entirely a judicial discretion, and further some, due recognition can be given to that. But I think that the fact of the ruling that they should go to school is more than anything. And it's experience that, as Daddy said, is the victory and is the impact.
Okay.
That is where
I'll take, I think we have about 3 minutes before we wrap up, but I'll take a quick message and then I'll give Tyrone the final word on this show. This person sent this message. He says, is it Ni in Accra? He says, as much as I am happy the children's right to education has been enforced, I believe we need clarity and direction from the courts as to how to deal with the potential floodgates relating to religious freedom vis-a-vis education. We cannot ask everyone to go to court to enforce their rights. Thank you for your message. This person says, they are not greedy people, like many love them after all. Rastafarians are African. Big up, brethren. This person says, please, Madam Host, tell your guests to speak the Jamaican patois English. That is what kills me the most. Rastafarians are righteous. Okay, so that's from Gilbert in Yendi. So over to you, Tyrone. You're going to close the show, so maybe put your lyrical abilities there and let's see how that goes. But guys, thank you so much. Mommy and Daddy over there, Benjamin, thank you so much. And Tyrone, thank you so much for coming. Over to you.
So my last words are I'm very grateful to everyone for
in
everything.
Patois? No? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so give us your last words, Tyrone.
Okay, so I'm very grateful to everyone for all the help that they give, because in real sense, they don't know us from anywhere. I mean, they got to know us from here, but still, they threw in their support and their maximum encouragement from everywhere. I'm grateful to the lawyers, to the judge, especially to our lawyers and all our team of supporters, as well as the journalists and everyone out there. I'm very grateful. And also Achimota School for finally accepting everything.
Great. I did say you were going to close the show, but let me take this quickly from one of our guests that we lost on Zoom. He says the Attorney General told the media house the basis for an appeal will be Article 41E, which lawyer Antiedu seems to downplay. Okay. Okay, Ras Mubarak also sent this. I believe all religions of the world are about love. Rasta is about love. Kwame Kakraba from Dansoman says, we are watching your program, and what some groups of society want to know is he implying that any religious values can be accepted in our institutions? If so, then Trokosi ladies who dress... We get the point, but I think... Exactly. The lawyer has spoken to that.